Hi, and welcome to ECCB Connects. Have you started setting funds aside for when you get to retirement? On this episode, we speak with Actuary at Morneau Shepell and advisor to some of the ECCU's social security systems, Derek Osborne, as he explains the importance of having a pension plan. Stay connected with us. We'll share more with you after the break.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is rolling out Dcash, the next step in the evolution of the EC dollar. Use Dcash to send and receive money to and from friends and family. Make payments directly from your smart device. Make payments from wherever you are. Download the app from the Google Play or Apple Store and sign up, or visit dcashec.com for more information. The future of the EC dollar is digital. Let's make history together.
Derek, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you very much, Karina. Great to be with you.
Now, often when people hear about pensions, they think about something for older persons, something that happens later in life with retirement, and they don't necessarily assign much importance to it. Now, first of all, explain to us what a pension is.
So pensions in their simplest form is a secure form of payment, usually monthly, that one receives after something happens, whether it be they turn a certain age, they retire from a certain employer, or in some cases when they become disabled prior to the retirement age. But pensions really have two phases. There's a build-up phase, accumulation of funds, and then there's a payout phase. So pretty much we talk about pensions thinking about the payout phase when it's our turn to receive. But in order for us to receive, there has to be somebody or ourselves who've accumulated assets that we can then draw down on from when it's time to receive.
Having said that, I think that may be the reason why often people don't assign much importance to it, to pension as they're working. Now, why is it important for us to think as younger persons, especially, about pensions?
We would like to live as comfortably as we lived when we were working when it comes time for us to retire. And so when we're working, we have regular form of income, most of us. Some are self-employed, have to go and work, and income may not be as regular. But at the end of the day, we enjoy the fruits of our labor by buying food, entertainment, we travel, we have a nice house, we have a car. So we enjoy the fruits of our labor with income we earn, and we pay for certain things. When we stop earning a regular income, whether it be from employment with an employer or self-employment, we want to be able to still enjoy those things. The entertainment, the travel, the food, the nice car, and so on. And so we will have to have some form of meeting those expenses, whether it be from our own savings, whether it be from a pension plan that we were part of along the way, where we have access to a monthly income stream that is guaranteed for the rest of our life. Or we also have, most of us, social security schemes to look forward to.
So having outlined those different types of pension plans, say for instance that I'm employed, my employer makes a contribution to my pension fund monthly. Is it important for me or the person as an individual to establish an additional fund of sorts?
So what we generally say is that there are three sources of income in old age. One is your national insurance, social security fund. The second one, if you're lucky to have an employer with a pension plan. And the third one is your own personal savings, right? A three-legged stool, so to speak. So the Social Security one is guaranteed based on your level of earnings and the number of contributions you've made along the way. The employer pension plan, depending on whether it's a defined benefit or defined contribution, maybe a pension, maybe a lump sum, maybe both. And then your own savings need not be in cash. Savings could be in the form of an apartment, in the form of property, in the form of stocks, in the form of bonds, whatever asset you can hold while you're working, that hopefully you can sell to earn cash from when you're retired, that you can use that cash to buy the things you want to buy to enjoy life after you stop working.
Derek, you spoke about the three-legged stool. For those who are, in a situation where they have the employer, they have their own savings or, defined assets, and they have the Social Security or National Fund. Talk to us about what self-employed persons can do to ensure that they have the requisite assets and savings in place for a pension?
A lot of our people are now moving towards self-employment. The informal economy is growing. And as the word suggests, you work for yourself, and therefore there's some things that an employer would ordinarily have done that you have to do for yourself, such as saving for retirement. Right? And it's very important, first of all, one, to register with your local Social Security institution. Right? All of the ones in the OECS have a provision for self-employed persons. Not only is a pension payable when you get old, but also there's short-term benefits as well that can help you have some form of income when you get sick, have a baby, or get hurt while working. But the mainstay is the pension. And self-employed people often think more short-term in terms of they can work until they get really, really old. But it's always good to have money set aside for different sources, for different reasons, whether it be for investing in a new business, it could be for investing in savings, or just having money set aside for a rainy day. We saw with COVID, for example, many self-employed persons weren't able to work because their industry was affected. And so many of them had to call upon their savings or depend on the government for assistance. And so savings is important. It's never too late to start, but the earlier you start, the better. And there's certain rules of thumb that talk about saving 10% of your income. And certainly if you have no employer to pension plan to look forward to, self-employed persons should certainly put aside at least 10, 15% of their income every week, every month, every year into some form of investment. It could be a bank account, it could be a property, it could be apartment, stocks and shares, whatever's available, wherever they are, and they can understand. They have to understand it. It's important to save and save early.
Great. Save and save early. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty of it. So we've established that it's important, of course, to have a pension because we have to live later on in life beyond our working years. How do persons now determine what it is I need to put aside for those retirement years? How much do I need to save in order to achieve that specific target?
So let's begin with the end in mind. So the goal is, when I reach 60 or 65, I want to live pretty much as I was living before. So let's say I was making, let's make it easy, $1,000 a month. Let's make it easy. When I turn 60 or 65 and stop working, I probably need at least 65, 75% of my regular income to keep living. If I'm a low-income person, I need more because most of my expenses are basic needs: food, shelter, transportation, and depending on where you live, healthcare, and so on. If you have a larger income, then you probably can have a smaller percentage replacement, right? So anywhere between probably 65 and 80% should be your target of your your pre-retirement salary. So let's say I'm 5 years away from retirement and my salary is $1,000 a month. I want to have at least $800 a month coming in when I retire. So each of us can set targets based on even our age. We can project our salary out reasonably well, until we retire, and target a certain income. That's the starting point. Begin with the end in mind, see where we want to be. We can factor in Social Security, right? It could be 55, 60% of my income, right? And therefore, much of our needs could be met from that national fund. But there will be a shortfall, especially if you're a higher income earner. And so if you have a pension plan and they're going to offer you, say, 20%, it may be Social Security 40%, pension plan 20%, but my goal is 80%. And therefore I need 20% more to meet my goal when I retire. And so the earlier you start planning and you get your analysis, every year you review where you are, what's the rate of return on this investment, how am I doing, am I falling short? So it's good to have some tools and some idea as to the goal, where you are, and then finally what you need to either step up or maintain to achieve that goal when you turn retirement age.
What happens to the person who's been diligent in establishing their pension, they've saved regularly, but closer to retirement age, they hit a snag in the road and they have to touch on these funds to, treat with whatever situation has come up in life? what advice would you give to them on how to bounce back and ensure that they can still be viable into these retirement years?
So certainly, good habits are developed early. So if this person has a good habit of saving and putting money aside every month, whenever that dilemma hits and they have to call on those funds, whether it be for medical attention or something, the idea would be to get back on your feet right away. First of all, access whatever assistance you can access for that emergency. So if it's medical care and the island you live in offers free medical care for certain age or certain groups of people, you call on that. So you try not to use your funds first if you have a choice. But certainly if you have to dilute your savings, then once you get back on your feet and you start working, it is, you may have to sacrifice your wants for a while. And instead of saving 10%, you may want to save 20% because you now have to catch up. So you still have that ultimate goal of being able to live the same way you were living when you were working.
All right. I think what you underscored is very important, that it's better to save something than nothing at all.
Right. You never know when a rainy day will come. And you also never know when an opportunity to invest in something really, really lucrative comes around. Your sister, brother may call and say, look, I found some land and it's a great piece of land. The price is good. Let's invest together. If you have savings in the bank within 2%, that may be a great investment for you. But if you have no cash readily available, you can't participate, you lose out.
I think you really hit my next point, talking about the ways that we can enhance this savings, this pension fund. Go into a little detail now about some of the instruments and avenues. You've mentioned, real estate before, that persons can utilize to really maximize their pension fund.
So I'll start with the most simple ones first. So we have a bank deposit, right? Typically 0 or very low interest rate. You can have a certificate of deposit, which has a specific time. It'll mature in 2 years, 5 years, or whatever it is. Nowadays, we have access to the stock market. We can buy shares when they become available. We can buy bonds, whether they be government bonds or corporate bonds. Depends on the risk. And then we can get into real estate, whether it be just a naked land or something with an apartment that has monthly rental income, and so on, right? At the end of the day, understanding what you're doing is critical, right? And if you don't understand, having people on your side who are working on your behalf, they must understand. So you may have a brokerage account. You may have an investment company who does investment management, right? And so, especially if your company has a pension plan and they allow you to save voluntarily on top of your mandatory contribution, it's good to put money aside. And if you have a chance to invest take some more risks in equities or something that's more speculative, you can do that because you have a good base on which to depend on to give you that, reasonable rate of return. And then you probably can get into equities and other forms of investments, or the apartment complex, or a property that you're going to sell later on. Land tends to appreciate. Properties that are well maintained tend to appreciate over time. The key concern, though, is that whatever you invest in, you want to be assured that when you turn 65 or 67 or 70, that you can gradually convert those investments into cash, right? We can't live on a piece of paper that's an equity or a bond from a certain company, right? So we want to be assured that as I get older and older, I can gradually convert my assets into cash. There are many people who are asset rich, but cash poor when they get old. They have a nice house, they have investments, they have an apartment, but they have no cash, right? So it's important to make sure you balance the ability to invest in the accumulation phase and then gradually liquidate those assets in the payout phase so you can have no periods of time when you're without any cash.
Derek, thank you for outlining the importance of pension. And I think from your last point there, it's important to establish your base. The earlier you can save, the better. Establish a solid base and then seek to branch out your investments where you can maximize those pension funds that you are accumulating.
Right, certainly. So it's starting early, setting some goals, right? And then identifying what's available to you. And every year, every 2 years, you reassess where you are, confirm where you want to go, and keep doing whatever it takes for you to get there.
Derek, thank you so much for speaking with us on ECCB Connects.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this episode of ECCB Connects. If you haven't already, be sure to follow us on social media and join us next week when we bring you another program to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. Thanks for watching.